Hello everyone, I wish you peace and happiness. Are you all healthy? Today, I will continue to tell you about the difficult, impoverished, and struggling days of Huyen and her mother to make a living. On the small path leading to the house, De appeared with a large bundle of bamboo on his shoulder. In his other hand, he held a freshly picked watermelon. Walking through the lush green garden, De headed straight for Huyen and Appo's house. He planned to use the bamboo he carried today to build a small outdoor bathroom for Huyen and Micah. Placing the bamboo bundle on the empty land, De quickly wiped the sweat from his forehead and looked around, calculating the position to build the bathroom. He placed the watermelon on the bamboo table outside the porch, intending for Huyen and Micah to eat it together after finishing the work. Seeing the simple house in the backyard, De was even more determined to complete the work quickly so that from now on, the mother and daughter would no longer have to bathe outside in the rain and wind. Early in the morning, in front of the small house, Huyen had just finished washing clothes in the ditch in front of the house. She bent down to carry the waterlogged laundry basket and slowly walked back home along the small path. The gentle morning sunlight shone down on the garden, and the air was fresh and quiet. Upon reaching the porch, Huyen placed the basket down and took out each piece of clothing to hang on the already stretched clothesline. She carefully straightened each shirt and pair of pants, then hung them neatly to dry quickly. After hanging the clothes, Huyen stood still for a moment, watching the clothes sway gently in the morning breeze, a gentle smile appearing on her face. Huyen lights the stove to reheat the pumpkin porridge pot that De cooked and left over from last night. The small flame gradually flares up, and the warm steam spreads, causing smoke to drift throughout the small kitchen. She gently stirs the porridge, waiting for it to heat up again. Meanwhile, Huyen takes a clean towel, rinses it in water, and gently wrings it out. She walks over to Micah and softly wipes her face. Micah stirs slightly after waking up, while Huyen carefully wipes each cheek, her eyes, and the messy hair of the child. The small room is filled with the smoke from the stove and the warm atmosphere of a peaceful morning. The porridge pot was hot, and Huyen gently scooped some into a bowl. Then she took the medicinal jar that De had cooked a few days ago, placed it on the stove to reheat. In the small kitchen, the steam from the porridge rose, blending with the thin smoke drifting up from the fire. Huyen brought the bowl of porridge to where Micah was sitting on a bamboo chair. She carefully sat down beside her child, using a spoon to scoop small portions of porridge, blowing on them to cool before gently feeding Micah. The child sat obediently, eyes full of joy as she looked at her mother. Huyen tenderly stroked Micah's hair and smiled softly. In the simple little house, mother and daughter gathered together, enjoying a peaceful and warm morning. The medicine was hot. Huyen approached the stove and carefully lowered the medicine pot. She took a clean bowl, slowly poured the medicine into it, and then carried it to the bamboo chair on the porch. Huyen sat down, raised the bowl to blow gently to cool it, and then slowly sipped small amounts. The bitter taste of the medicine made her grimace slightly, but Huyen still tried to finish it. Placing the bowl down, she exhaled softly, hoping her health would improve soon so she could continue caring for Micah. Huyen put the hat on Micah and Appo's head and then put a coat on her. She also wore a hat, carefully checked the doors and windows, then closed the house door. After that, Huyen held Micah and Appo's hand and led her out of the small house. Mother and daughter slowly walked along the familiar village road. The row of trees by the roadside gently swayed in the wind, and the small houses rested peacefully among the lush green gardens. Micah obediently held her mother and Appo's hand and walked, while Huyen looked at her child as they moved, smiling softly. She and Micah continued along the familiar path. Standing in front of the craft workshop gate, Huyen took a deep breath and then held Micah and Appo's hand as they entered together. She gathered all her courage to approach the workshop owner and ask for a job. After listening to Huyen explain her situation and agreeing to hire her, the owner advised her to work diligently and ask experienced workers if she had any questions. Huyen gratefully thanked the owner, and then led Micah into the work area. She politely greeted everyone in the workshop, then found an empty spot and sat down beside the prepared bundles of bamboo. An experienced worker kindly guided Huyen on how to select each bamboo stick, how to hold the knife, and how to carve the bamboo evenly, smoothly, and without scratching her hands. Huyen listened attentively and carefully followed each movement. Although the work was still new to her, she tried her best little by little, determined to work hard to earn money to take care of Micah. Huyen immediately got to work. She carefully sat down to shave each bamboo stick, her hands skillfully guiding the knife along the bamboo to make each piece smooth and even. Beside her, Micah obediently sat helping her mother, picking up the shaved bamboo sticks and neatly stacking them aside. After a while, when she finished shaving the sticks, Huyen stood up to move on to the next step. She approached a worker who was gluing the woven baskets. Huyen attentively observed each action, from spreading glue on the joints to keeping the bamboo strips securely in place. The worker, while working, also showed Huyen how to do it, and she carefully memorized the steps before starting to do it herself. Huyen sat down beside the bamboo basket. In front of her were the unfinished baskets. She carefully picked up a glue bottle, using a small stick to spread glue on the joints of the bamboo baskets. Huyen and Appo's hands worked slowly but steadily. Whenever more glue was needed, she carefully reapplied it evenly. Next to her, Micah sat obediently, watching her mother work. After a while, the bamboo baskets gradually became complete, and Huyen continued diligently, trying her best to do a good job in order to earn extra income for her and her daughter. After completing the gluing process, Huyen continued to the packaging stage. She took each finished bamboo basket and gently placed it into the pre-prepared cardboard boxes. After arranging the baskets neatly, Huyen folded the edges of the boxes and sealed each seam with tape. Beside her, Micah obediently sat helping her mother. The child assisted Huyen by handing over small baskets and rolls of tape, occasionally holding the edge of the box to make it easier for her mother to seal. Mother and daughter worked together in the corner of the workshop. Huyen worked while guiding Micah step by step. Watching her child diligently helping, Huyen smiled softly and continued her work, striving to complete as many products as possible that day. The bell signaling the end of the workday rang out in the workshop. Huyen packed up her belongings, checked her workspace, then took Micah to meet the workshop owner to receive her wages. She carefully received her first paycheck of the day, her hands gently clutching the money, feeling both happy and relieved because from now on, the two of them had an extra amount to cover their living expenses. Huyen put the money into her pocket and then carried Micah in her arms. Micah wrapped her arms around her mother and Appo's neck, obediently resting her head on Huyen and Appo's shoulder. The mother and daughter bid farewell to everyone in the workshop and then stepped outside, walking slowly along the familiar village road to return to their small house. Despite being tired from a full day of work, Huyen still smiled, feeling warm inside because today she had earned her first money on her own to take care of Micah. Just arrived home, Huyen opened the door and led Micah inside. The whole day at work made Micah tired and sleepy, so she quickly climbed onto the bed, lay down, pulled the blanket over her, hugged the pillow and soon fell asleep. Huyen gently closed the door to let her sleep peacefully, then went to the kitchen. She checked the used medicinal teapot and saw that there were still tea leaves inside. Huyen took the pot and went to the back garden. By a tree, she tilted the pot to pour the tea leaves onto the ground. After finishing, Huyen lightly brushed her hand, looked into the house where Micah was sleeping, and then slowly walked back inside. Huyen took the teapot to the well to wash it clean, rinsed it with water, and then placed it on the stove. She took the traditional medicine ladder that Da had bought for her the day before, carefully unwrapped each packet, and put all the herbs into the teapot. Then, Huyen filled it with enough water, covered it with a lid, and placed the teapot on the stove. She bent down to light the fire. The logs started to burn, and the red flames gradually rose at the bottom of the teapot. The smoke from the stove drifted out into the small kitchen with the wind. Huyen gently waved her hand to disperse the smoke, then sat beside the teapot, watching over it as the medicine slowly brewed. Huyen was holding a bamboo broom and slowly sweeping the house. Outside in the garden, De was walking in, carrying a large bundle of bamboo on his shoulder, with his other hand holding a watermelon bag brought for the mother and child. As he reached the porch, De gently placed the bamboo bundle down beside him, and then went straight into the kitchen with the watermelon bag. Micah had just come out of the house. Seeing De, the girl immediately cheered happily and ran quickly to hug him tightly. De bent down to embrace Micah, gently stroked her hair and smiled kindly. Huyen, seeing this scene, also stopped sweeping, smiled as she looked at the two generations, and in the small house, the sound of laughter and warmth suddenly filled the space. Seeing De enter, Huyen quickly went to the porch. De handed Huyen a watermelon bag, smiled kindly and said, and quote, "I bought this watermelon for you and your mother to enjoy something cool. I also brought some bamboo sticks, planning to build a small bathroom for you and your mother. From now on, bathing will be more convenient for you too." End quote. Huyen took the watermelon bag, looked at De, and then gently smiled, feeling both surprised and touched. She looked at the bamboo bundle placed on the porch, then turned to thank him. De just smiled and told Huyen to let him take care of everything, while she could rest and look after Micah. Micah, standing beside them, happily ran over to look at the bamboo bundle, excitedly waiting for Uncle De to build a new bathroom for the two of them. De stepped out onto the porch, bent down to hold the bundle of bamboo sticks, then moved to the empty land in front of the house. He placed the bundle of bamboo down, selected the straightest and strongest sticks, and carefully cut them into equal lengths with a saw. The sound of the saw echoed steadily in the quiet garden, and the bamboo segments were neatly stacked aside. After cutting, De gathered the bamboo stakes and took them to the ditch in front of the house. He chose a spot right next to the bamboo bridge, a convenient place to make the entrance to the bathroom. De used his strength to drive each stake into the ground, adjusted the spacing evenly, and hammered them in tightly to form the initial frame. Huyen stood on the porch looking out while Micah, curious, ran over to her mother, watching intently as De tirelessly built the bathroom for the two of them. De had just driven a few bamboo stakes into the ground when he turned to call Huyen, and quote, "Help me bring out a stone so I can secure the stakes properly." End quote. Hearing this, Huyen immediately went inside to get a large stone and brought it to the ditch. She stood beside him, holding the stake firmly, placing the stone close to the stake and Appo's base to make it easier for De to drive it into the ground. De used his strength to hammer each blow, making the bamboo stake deeper and more secure. After finishing one stake, he moved on to the next, with Huyen patiently standing by to help. When the stakes were stable, De took a saw to cut bamboo sections of equal length. He placed the horizontal bamboo beams between the stakes, aligned them neatly, and then used steel wire to tightly bind each joint. De threaded the wire through the bamboo, twisted it securely, and cut off the excess wire. Huyen stood beside him, helping hold the bamboo, while Micah curiously stood on the bamboo bridge watching Uncle De work. While De was still diligently building the bathroom frame by the canal, Huyen took the opportunity to step out to the backyard garden. She carried a small bamboo basket, walked along the lush green vegetable beds, and bent down to pick bunches of tender greens. Huyen selected fresh stems, removed the old leaves, and neatly placed them into the basket. The evening breeze gently blew through the garden, causing the vegetable beds to sway slightly. As Huyen was picking vegetables, she looked toward the canal and saw De still working diligently. She softly smiled and continued to pick more vegetables to prepare dinner for herself, De, and her mother. After completing the framework below, De entered the vacant land in front of the house, selected straight bamboo sticks, and then used a knife to split them into small strips. He worked carefully, separating each bamboo stalk into pieces of nearly equal size, neatly stacking them into bundles. Seeing De working alone, Huyen put down the basket of vegetables and came over to help. She sat beside him, holding a knife to trim away the sharp bamboo splinters, then whittled each strip smooth and even. The two worked together, one splitting bamboo, the other trimming and whittling. After processing, the bamboo sticks became smooth and clean, stacked into piles in preparation for making the wall of the small bathroom by the canal. Huyen gathered some dry firewood and entered the kitchen to light a fire. The flames quickly flared up, and she placed a pot of water on the stove. She sat down, washed each handful of vegetables under clear running water, removing the old leaves and yellowed stems. Huyen washed the vegetables thoroughly, and then placed them in a bamboo basket to drain. Outside, Da and Appo's sound of splitting bamboo continued steadily, while inside the small kitchen, Huyen quietly prepared dinner. Huyen approached the bamboo bed and sat down slowly. She took the little money she had in her pocket and counted it again. The few bills she had were stacked in her hand, not worth much, causing her to sit quietly and think for a long time. Finally, she gently folded the money, put it into her pocket, and turned to call Micah. Huyen held Micah and Appo's hand as they stepped outside. The mother and daughter went to the place where Da was building a bathroom beside the canal. Huyen looked at him and said, "Stay at home and work. I'm taking Micah out for a little errand. I'll be back soon." Da nodded and told them to be careful. Huyen held Micah and Appo's hand tightly, and together they walked along the village road to buy some more food for the meal. I continued working by the canal. He took more bamboo poles that had been prepared in advance, gradually setting up the stakes above, and then securing them tightly to the lower frame with steel wire. I carefully aligned each stake to be straight, forming a sturdy frame for the bathroom. Then he brought out the small split and smooth bamboo sticks. I sequentially placed the bamboo sticks close together, laying them horizontally on the frame to make the floor. Each stick was adjusted neatly and tightly bound with steel wire, creating a solid bamboo floor surface. He worked while checking each joint, trying to complete the small bathroom for Huyen and her mother. Huyen gently held Micah and Appo's hand as they walked along the familiar village road. After a while, she suddenly saw a patch of fresh green wild vegetables by the roadside, looking very fresh and delicious. Huyen told Micah to stand quietly by the roadside and wait for her, then approached the vegetable patch. She sat down carefully, plucking each tender sprig of wild greens, picking out the fresh and tasty stems, and placing them into the conical hat she was holding. Huyen and Appo's hands moved swiftly as she picked each sprig of greens, and soon the hat was filled with lush, green wild vegetables. She stood up, dusted off her hands lightly, put the hat on her head, and then took Micah and Appo's hand again. Mother and daughter continued walking along the village road toward the market area. Huyen thought to herself that these wild vegetables might help them have a little extra food for today and Appo's meal. Da sat beside the bathroom frame, holding a pair of pliers in his hand and inspecting each joint one by one. He used the pliers to tighten the steel wire securing the bamboo poles, twisting each loop firmly so the frame wouldn't Appo's wobble. For any loose wires, Da would pull them tight with the pliers, then twist a few more turns, carefully trimming the excess wire. The sound of the pliers tightening the steel wires echoed crackling through the quiet garden. After checking everything, Da tested each bamboo pole by hand, and only when he was sure the frame was secure did he continue with the work. The small bathroom beside the canal was becoming more stable, with each part gradually being completed. Huyen and Micah stopped in front of a shrimp stall in the market. She selected some fresh shrimp, picked just enough to put into a small bag, and paid the seller. After buying the shrimp, Huyen carried a hat filled with wild vegetables and wandered around the market, hoping to sell some greens to earn extra money for food. Seeing a passerby, Huyen politely invited her to buy. But the first person looked at the unusual greens and shook her head in refusal. Huyen continued to invite another person, but this person also hesitated to buy because she wasn't Appo's sure if the wild vegetables were edible. Huyen could only nod politely in thanks and stopped inviting further. She carried the vegetable hat, held the shrimp bag in her hand, and then took Micah and Appo's hand. The mother and daughter quietly left the market area, walking together along the village road back home. Just arrived home, Huyen placed the basket full of wild greens down and hurried to where Da was working on the bathroom. She cheerfully boasted and quote, "I just picked a bunch of these greens from outside. They taste really good when stir-fried. I offered to sell them but no one bought. They Don and Appo's. Do you know about these greens?" And quote. Da looked at the tender green shoots in the basket and asked curiously and quote, "I and Appo's. We never eaten this kind of greens before." End quote. Hearing that, Huyen smiled and said and quote, "Really? Let me stir-fry some for you to try. These greens are very delicious." End quote. Da also laughed and nodded in agreement. Huyen carried the shrimp bag into the kitchen to prepare the meal, while Da continued finishing the remaining parts of the bathroom for the two of them. Huyen sat beside the water jar, slowly washing each handful of freshly picked vegetables. She picked out the old leaves, washed each sprig of greens thoroughly, and placed them into the bamboo basket beside her. Nearby, Da sat on a piece of wood, holding a knife to smooth the bamboo sticks in preparation for building a shower for the mother and child. During work, Huyen looked up at Da. At that moment, Da also turned to look at her. They caught each other and Appo's gaze and then both smiled softly. No one said anything. Only the steady sound of the bamboo knife sharpening and the trickling water from the jar created a peaceful moment in the small house. Da was still diligently working beside the bathroom frame when Huyen brought out a plate full of juicy red watermelon slices that he had brought earlier. She placed the plate down and smiled, saying and quote, "Take a break for a moment, come and have a piece of watermelon." End quote. Hearing that, Da set aside his tools and stepped onto the bamboo bridge in front of the house. Micah saw Da taking a break and immediately ran over, obediently sitting close beside him. Da took a piece of watermelon and offered it to Micah, then took another piece and handed it to Huyen. Huyen accepted it and gently smiled. The three of them sat on the bamboo bridge, eating watermelon and chatting happily. In the distance, the sun gradually disappeared behind the trees, coloring the sky with soft orange sunlight. The evening breeze blew through the garden, bringing a cool, refreshing air. Huyen, Micah, and Da sat together under the sunset, sharing sweet, cool slices of watermelon, creating a simple yet warm moment by the small house. After taking a break, Huyen stood up and took the plate into the kitchen to prepare dinner. She washed the shrimp she had just bought at the market, sorted the washed vegetables, and began preparing the meal for everyone. The sound of a knife chopping vegetables and the crackling of firewood echoed in the small kitchen. Outside the ditch, Da continued his work. He took the last bamboo sticks, carefully nailed and fixed them into the frame of the bathroom. Each bamboo stick was aligned neatly and tightly bound with steel wire. Da checked each joint carefully, tested them by hand to ensure everything was secure. The small bathroom beside the ditch was gradually being completed under the fading evening light. Huyen finished cooking rice, carefully lowered the pot, and pushed some coals aside from the stove. She placed the pot of rice on top, keeping the fire low to keep the rice warm. Then she put a pot of water on the stove, waited for it to boil, and added vegetables to blanch. When the vegetables were just cooked, Huyen quickly took them out to drain, then put them in a pan to stir-fry with a little seasoning until fragrant. After stir-frying the vegetables, Huyen continued to place the pan on the stove to roast the shrimp she just bought at the market. The shrimp gradually turned red, and the sizzling sound echoed in the small kitchen, with a fragrant aroma spreading throughout the house. Outside in the yard, it was gradually getting dark. Huyen left the kitchen, lit a kerosene lamp, and hung it above the bed. The soft yellow light cast down on the house, illuminating the kitchen and the bamboo bed, signaling the beginning of a warm evening. Huyen took the oil lamp and stepped out to the ditch in front of the house, where Da was still diligently building the bathroom. Approaching, she gently called and quote, Hey, take a break and come have dinner. End quote. Destil bent down, fixing the final joint, and replied, end quote, wait a moment, I and Oppos, am almost done. End quote. Seeing that it was already dark, Huyen brought the oil lamp closer, shining light so they could clearly see each bamboo stick and joint. The yellow light cast down, illuminating the ground beside the ditch. They continued to pin and tie the last bamboo sticks, carefully checking every corner of the bathroom. After a while, De stood up, dusted his hands, and looked at the finished work. The small bamboo bathroom was completed, with a sturdy bamboo frame, neatly joined walls, lying next to the bamboo bridge in front of the house. Huyen looked at the new bathroom, her face showing joy and relief. She and De tidied up the tools, then the two of them, carrying the oil lamp, slowly returned to the house, where Micah was waiting with the dinner. De sat by the water jar, washing his hands after a day of work. Inside the house, Huyen gently cleared the dinner tray onto the bamboo table, placing the hot rice, stir-fried vegetables, and fried shrimp neatly in front of them. Micah happily ran over and sat beside her mother. When everything was ready, the three of them sat together around the dinner table. De served food for Micah. Huyen smiled and then served more vegetables to Da. All three ate and chatted happily, laughter echoing in the small house. The warm yellow oil lamp light shone on each person and Oppos' face, making the simple dinner even cozier. Outside, the newly built bamboo shower house stood quietly by the canal, marking a peaceful and loving day for the three of them. If everyone loves Huyen and Micah and Oppos' mother and child, please subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, and leave a word of encouragement for the two of them to see the next developments. Every follow and every loving comment from everyone will be a source of comfort and strength to help Huyen get through difficult times. Thank you all very much.